Hi, everybody. I'm here today with Chris Jones, Head of Commercial at Newcastle-based Komodo. Chris and Komodo are one of our fantastic partners here at FinTech North this year. And I wanted to just have a quick chat with Chris to do one of our partner profile interviews so that everybody in the community can get to know Komodo a little bit better. So Chris, thanks so much for taking the time to speak with us today. I just want to understand a little bit more about the Komodo journey, really. Please tell me why the business was started.
Yeah, sure. So Andy, our managing director, started the business just over 20 years ago. And originally it was started because he recognised there was a great need in the Northeast, and then more wider afield at the time of actually websites were becoming a huge need, that digital window, if you like, that digital shop window for companies. And Andy recognised that there was a gap in the market there to provide that in a service that was quite rapid generation, but then also was really user-centric. So everything about the website was based on research, understanding the users and building an experience for it. So that started 20 years ago, and then naturally over time that's grown into, moving from websites to web applications to mobile applications, but all with that core trait, if you like, of users first. The user experience is key, and there's three traits that Andy talks about in terms of understanding, so the whole understanding the users. There's the creativity. Okay, how can we approach the challenges the user needs creatively? And then how do we apply intelligence to best replicate that in either the experience of the website or the application? So yeah, 20 years later, we've gone from a team of one man in his garage providing great websites to a team of 30 providing applications globally, which is pretty cool.
Awesome. Well, no, that segues quite nicely into my next question for you then. So, that's the journey squared off. So in terms of where you're at now, what problems and challenges do you solve for your clients? And you mentioned obviously, website work there. Do you just want to expand a little bit on some of that, especially around user experience potentially?
Yeah, sure. So I guess the kind of challenges, any challenge to do with digital products or users really for our clients, we can help with, but you can kind of condense it into four key areas. So the first key area is sort of companies that already have software that is a key part of their organization. Now that can simply be a website, or as I say, it can be an application as well as part of their solution. And we actually help accelerate the delivery of that, because these people have their roadmaps, they have their client needs and new functionality being required all the time. They'll have an existing team, and it's just simply a case of, look, if we could deliver this faster to our users, that adds huge value to them. So we help augment existing teams to deliver that roadmap faster. I say augment because we're different to typical outsourcing. We're not a team that goes away and sits in the shed, comes back to you 6 months later with, ta-da, there's your product. It's very much, we work with you collaboratively. I can't say the word, but work together closely with them day in, day out to deliver that. Second challenge, which is quite an interesting one in the fintech space, because that's grown rapidly over the last few years, is helping bring new products to market. Now, whether that's a startup bringing their first product into market, helping them ideate, create, and develop that idea, or whether it's an existing, an existing business in the sector that have thought, what, there's potentially a way that we can either add a new bit of value to our clients, or we can really leap ahead of the competition if we release this product. We can help them do that and act as a specialist resource to help them deliver that. The third, again, which I definitely see interesting in the fintech community, is legacy systems. So maybe not so much with fintechs, but definitely the old traditional, if I can say old, but the more traditional banks, if you like, you see this as a challenge with them, that they've got this software that has worked for them for 20 years, but now it's at a point where it's not scalable enough, it's not flexible enough, it's not intuitive enough for the modern day demands, which is kind of what led to challenger banks and fintech in the first place, was the experience wasn't right. So we help them unpick that and effectively refresh their technology so that it's more suited to the modern day user. And then just finally, because I appreciate this has been a longer answer than the first one, the fourth option is something that we're certainly finding in other sectors, which will be interesting to see how it is applicable to the finance sector, is helping companies understand where their inefficiencies generally across the business could be solved through technology. Now, as you'll know yourself, maybe as part of FinTech North or with the companies that you're talking to, it's very easy when you're in the day-to-day to see some challenges but not know how to address them, or you just do workarounds because you don't have time to think about it. Well, a fresh pair of eyes coming in and looking at it and understanding what the frustrations are, and there's still so many people working on spreadsheets or processes just because that's how they've done it the last 10 years. And an objective pair of eyes coming in and looking at that and thinking, okay, well, if you embrace some technology here, not even technology that necessarily we build for them, but that would massively save you time. It would save you, money, effort, all of which is a win for companies, especially in the climate that we're in at the minute, where it's a case of maximizing every bit of time and resource you've got. So they're the kind of 4 key problems, if that answers the question.
It certainly does. Comprehensively answers the question. So I'm going to ask some questions about the community in a bit. But I suppose as a kind of to preface some of that and to frame some of that, what do you think are some of the most interesting elements of fintech? And any thoughts on how you see them developing? That'd be really good, Chris, to understand.
Yeah, sure. So I'm quite fortunate, really. I was brought up in a household that, from a young age was talking to me about finance and kind of getting me to learn it and understand it. And I'll be honest, until about 23, 24, I took no notice, and then got to 24, realized I'd made a cataclysmic mistake and I should have read more books and paid more attention.
Sounds familiar, that.
Yeah. So there's things for me at the minute that are still, being seen as this year is quite important in terms of embedded finance, buy now, pay later, open banking, things that me and you, Joe, and the community have been talking about for years, but they still seem to be at the top of that list in terms of what are going to be big themes over the coming year. But if I was to be honest, the bit that is catching my attention more and I find really interesting, and I'm excited to see how it goes, is more on the investing side. So for instance, one of the first FinTech North I joined a couple of years ago, Ticker were there, who I think are now circa 5,000, I think the name is rebranded, with Matt and Tom. I'm very intrigued to see how we can do more to encourage people to learn about the wonder of investing sooner and making it more accessible to them, and making the knowledge more accessible to them, because it's something which I think we maybe get taught about compound interest for maybe half an hour in GCSE maths, and that's it. And investing is a way to financial freedom. Yes, of course, there's a lot of risk, and hence there needs to be a lot of knowledge to be shared. But seeing people like Ticker out there, trying to make it more accessible and also doing it in a way that's ESG friendly, that's pretty cool. Like I know they're a certified B Corp now, which is good to see. So yeah, for me, there's the key trends that everyone seems to be still seeing, but the investing side, I'm very excited to see what else can be done with that.
That's great to hear. And yeah, we work quite closely with the guys at Circa 5000, one of the sort of shining lights of Northern FinTech for sure. And Liverpool, actually a bit of a centre of excellence for wealth management as well. And we're seeing that in some of Whitecap's research at the moment, which is discovering new fintechs in the city region all the time. It's on some of those themes that you mentioned, I feel like we've been talking about open banking for quite a while, but I think it's really maturing and coming to the fore now. And there's real potential for things like VRPs, variable recurring payments, and sweeping, in terms of its relevance to sort of wealth management and investing as well. I couldn't agree more. I think there's lots of interesting applications with financial well-being too. I think it's a really interesting space for sure. Just to come on to our final question then, Chris, and wrap this up then. So I guess, you've mentioned a fintech there, but, who in the community would you ideally be looking to meet? You're looking to partner and collaborate with particular organizations. This is your chance to kind of put a call to action out to our community to get in touch, I suppose. So yeah, hit me up with your thoughts.
Yeah, no pressure then. Hey, this is the 30-second minute of fame. No, for me, it's just a case of anyone in the community. So, I've been following FinTech North for a while, Circa 5000, paid. There's a load of guys out there in the region, Bottle Pay, that I'm fully aware of, Canny Payments. But to be honest, Joe, it's any organization, most fintechs have an app, they'll have a website, they'll have software as like a core part of their proposition. Anybody that is either new coming into the fintech space that needs somebody to help them do some of the user research, ideate what their app's going to do, and make sure that it's as maximized as possible for their users, be great to talk to those people in the community, or anybody that's already established but is looking to push on. As I say, scalability and resource right now is a challenge. We all know how the pandemic's affected, recruitment, and therefore anybody that's looking for a flexible resource to help scale their applications, or even somebody to bring in, a big benefit to us is we've worked with a couple of fintechs over the last few years, but we've worked with loads of other compliance heavy industries, insurance, law, property, and there's so many lessons we've learned through that could be applicable. I mean, even health, a core issue with fintechs is building that trust with their users, especially through onboarding. Well, health's exactly the same, as you can imagine. And if you've got a patient using an app, it has to be incredibly intuitive and no stress can be caused, and that can be applied to finance. So I guess my call to action is, let anybody using software as part of their proposition and is focused on users adopting that as a core part of their service, it'd be great to talk to them. It really is. It's quite a blanket statement, I guess, but it's because I don't want to narrow it down too much, because there's good conversations to be had across the board, I think.
Definitely, and I think, like you say, some great experience in other sort of similar, highly regulated spaces there. So, Chris, it's been great chatting to you. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your support as well as a partner. We'd be unable to bring together the community without the support of organisations like Komodo. So, I really would implore anybody in the community to reach out to Chris and Komodo. And we'll be sure to include your contact details on the news story when we get this published and shared with the community. So, Chris, awesome. Thank you for your time, and hope to see you again soon at a FinTech North event.
Yeah, see you soon, Joe. No problem.